Marcus is lying in bed at 1:47 a.m., phone face down on his chest, doing the math again. If I fall asleep in the next 10 minutes, I still get 5 hours. 40 minutes ago, he tried the breathing app. 20 minutes ago, he tried lying perfectly still, arms at his sides, the way some article told him, resets your nervous system. His jaw is tight. His eyes are closed, but his mind is doing laps around a work email he sent at 6 p.m. that nobody has answered yet, replaying the exact wording like it's still waiting to be graded. Downstairs he can hear the refrigerator hum, which somehow makes the silence in the bedroom feel louder. He has tried everything the internet told him to try, in the exact order they told him to try it, and none of it has touched whatever is actually keeping him awake. Tomorrow he will be tired, snap at someone he loves, and tell himself tonight will be different. Maybe you know that exact math. Maybe you have also lain there at 1 a.m. negotiating with the clock like it owes you something. Maybe you have a drawer full of things that promised to fix this and didn't. Here is what nobody tells you. The reason you cannot sleep is not a mystery your body is keeping from you, and it is definitely not something a supplement is going to solve. Most of what you have been told about fixing sleep is built on a Western assumption that sleep is a task, something you complete through effort, the same way you complete a workout or a deadline. That assumption is exactly backwards, and Japan figured this out generations before sleep science caught up. By the end of this video, you will understand the actual mechanism keeping you awake at night, and you will have 6 specific shifts, rooted in real Japanese practice, that work with your nervous system instead of against it. The last one is the quietest of the 6, and it is the one that makes the other 5 actually stick, so stay with this one until the end. Before we get into it, a quick ask. If the way this channel thinks about discipline and the mind is useful to you, tap like and subscribe. It costs you nothing, and it puts this in front of someone else lying awake tonight. Now let's get into it. Here is the myth that needs to die first. You have probably been told that sleep is something you achieve through effort. Try harder to relax, force yourself to stop thinking, will your body into rest. But your brain cannot tell the difference between trying to solve a problem at work and trying to solve the problem of falling asleep. Both activate the same threat detection circuitry. The sleep researcher Colin Espie, at Oxford, has documented this for years under the name sleep effort. The harder you try to fall asleep, the more your brain treats sleep like a task with a deadline, which floods your system with the exact stress chemicals that keep you awake. You are not failing at sleep. You are using a strategy that was never going to work, because sleep is not something you do. It's something you allow. The first shift is something called ofuro, the Japanese evening bathing ritual, where a hot bath isn't a hygiene task, it's a deliberate transition out of the day. Picture the version of you who showers in 90 seconds just to check a box before bed. That's most people, and it's part of why they lie there wired an hour later. The mechanism here is about body temperature, not relaxation. A 2019 review by sleep researcher Shahab Haghayegh found that raising your core body temperature with a warm bath 1 to 2 hours before bed causes a sharp drop afterward, and that drop is one of the strongest physiological signals your brain uses to initiate sleep. Tonight's shift is simple. Move your shower from the morning routine to 90 minutes before you plan to sleep, and let it run a few minutes longer than usual. The second shift comes from a concept called inemuri, a culturally accepted form of rest in Japan where dozing briefly in public, even at your desk, isn't seen as laziness but as a sign you've been working hard enough to need it. Think of the version of you who feels guilty for a 10-minute rest because you haven't earned it yet. That guilt is the whole problem. The anthropologist Bridget Stager, who has studied inemuri extensively at Cambridge, found that cultures which treat rest as shameful actually produce more anxious, lower-quality sleep at night, because the nervous system never gets permission to fully stand down. The shift here is to stop treating a short daytime rest as something to justify. Give yourself 10 unguarded minutes this afternoon with no scorecard attached. The third shift is Shinrin-yoku, forest bathing, deliberately spending unstructured time in natural light and greenery, not for exercise, just for exposure. Picture the version of you who goes from an artificially lit apartment to an artificially lit office and back again, never once getting real daylight on your face. The physician and researcher Dr. Ching Li, at Nippon Medical School, has shown that time in natural settings lowers cortisol and adjusts the same circadian signals that govern when melatonin gets released at night. Morning light exposure is the piece almost nobody prioritizes. The shift is small. Take your coffee outside for 10 minutes tomorrow morning instead of drinking it under a ceiling light. The fourth shift is mono-no-aware, the awareness of impermanence, the practice of noticing that a moment, a feeling, even a bad day, is already passing and doesn't need to be held onto. Picture the version of you replaying an awkward conversation from 9 hours ago while lying in the dark, keeping it alive instead of letting it end. The psychologist Allison Harvey, at UC Berkeley, has shown that pre-sleep rumination is one of the strongest predictors of insomnia, because rehearsing a thought keeps the same neural circuits active that you need to power down. The shift tonight is to say the day's date out loud once before you turn off the light, a small verbal signal to yourself that today is now the past. The fifth shift is wabi-sabi, the acceptance of imperfection, the idea that an unfinished day, like an unfinished object, can still be complete in its own way. Picture the version of you who cannot sleep because today wasn't productive enough to have earned rest. That perfectionism is not neutral. It's a nervous system running an audit at midnight. Research on perfectionism and insomnia, including work associated with sleep clinician Colin Espie, has linked rigid self-evaluation before bed to measurably higher pre-sleep arousal. The shift is to name one thing today that was good enough, out loud or in your head, before your perfectionism gets the last word. The sixth shift is kotodama, the old Japanese belief that spoken words carry real weight, that saying something changes it. Picture the version of you whose last thought of the day is a mental list of everything still undone. A well-known 2009 study by psychologist Alex Wood found that people who verbally or in writing acknowledged something they were grateful for before bed fell asleep faster and slept longer than those who didn't. This is the one that ties the other five together, because it's not really about gratitude, it's about closing the day with your own voice instead of your own anxiety. Tonight, say one sentence out loud about something that went right today. Just one. That's it. So here is the only thing to actually do tonight. Not all six. Just the bath. Move it 90 minutes before bed, nothing else added. That's the whole assignment. It feels almost insultingly small, and that's exactly the point. You have spent years trying to fix sleep with big systems and bigger willpower, and none of it lasted past a week. Small isn't the compromise version of discipline. Small is the only version that survives contact with a bad day, and a bad day is coming eventually. One tiny shift you actually keep beats 5 you abandon by Thursday. A year from now, Marcus still checks the clock sometimes, out of old habit more than need. But it's 9:47 p.m., not 1:47 a.m., and he's stepping out of a warm bath with wet hair instead of lying rigid and negotiating with the ceiling. The refrigerator still hums downstairs. He just doesn't notice it anymore, because his mind isn't standing guard the way it used to. The math he used to do every night has quietly disappeared, not because he found the willpower to force it away, but because he stopped trying to force anything that only ever needed permission. Comment the word rest right now. It takes 2 seconds, and it's your public commitment that tonight is the night you move your bath 90 minutes earlier instead of adding one more thing to your list. Send this to the person in your life who has told you 3 different times this year that they're finally going to fix their sleep, and then stayed up scrolling anyway. Not because they're weak, but because nobody ever told them the real mechanism. And if you want a channel that keeps handing you the real mechanism instead of another checklist, that's what this one is for.